Hey, Janita, thank you so much for taking out the time to share your experience with other firm owners that might be considering enrolling in our 8-week sales mastery course. Before we dive into some questions I have, I'd love it if you could share where you're at in the country and what does your firm specialize in?
So I am located in the southeast region of the country. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia,
Uh-huh.
and my firm specializes in tax strategy, accounting services, and CFO advisory services in the following verticals: health and wellness, real estate, and not-for-profit entities. And
Awesome.
inside of those verticals, my area of focus around health and wellness would be medical practitioners, gyms, NIL athletes, um, wellness providers, massage therapists, etc.
Good.
And then in the real estate space, I focus on developers, real estate attorneys, and real estate investors, and then not-for-profit organizations.
Great. So, when working with all those elements and those niches, I guess you would call it, what was your biggest challenge as it related to your sales process and your pricing before you met us here at the Abundant Accountant? What were you struggling with the most as it related to the sales process in your firm?
So I would say the thing I struggled with the most is just, you know, having my pricing be on point
Mhm.
so that I am, charging really the fees that not just the fees, but for the services that I offer, that I'm, providing value and that my services and the pricing matches that value.
What was the moment you decided to do something about it?
I would say when I was in AICTP and, you know, saw that you were there and, there was a conversation around, sales mastery. And I knew that that was something, that I would need to take on inside of my expansion. So as I expanded my practice, I knew that I would need to increase my fees, but how do I do that and how do I do that effectively? And I felt like the sales mastery program would provide me the structure and the processes needed to do that.
And when did you feel, how'd you realize your pricing was just too low? What was the moment where you calculated or figured out, wow, I'm leaving a lot of money on the table?
When did I figure that out? When I started looking at, I would say one of the first assignments that we had to do was like calculate our value, and then also like, look at our mindset around
Right.
sales.
And before you even started working with us, like way back.
So when did I realize that before I even started working with you? When I left corporate America. Because, corporate America was really like my main source of income. And so I was like, oh, I can, pay the people that work with me. I'll just pay them, more to do the work that's being done since I don't have the full capacity for it. So, it's okay. I'll make up for it because my income is covering me and covering things. But, once I left and really like looked at how I needed to expand, I knew that I needed to raise my pricing.
I guess you couldn't subsidize your company anymore in your
I
firm.
could not do that,
Gonna quit.
nor do I want to.
Right. So, when was the moment that you decided to say, okay, I'm going to engage with you guys here at the Abundant Accountant? I'm going to do the 8-week sales mastery course and make that decision to take the full leap. What was that deciding moment for you?
So it was in my mind, or I knew that this was something that I needed. And, I met you back in, I think it was May, the first time in San Diego. And so a seed was kind of planted then. But once I heard your pitch again in Charleston and had the conversation with Denise, I knew that this was something that I needed to lean into and
Mhm.
just trust the process.
Awesome. And I know, Janita, you also had some fears or maybe some objections or initial skepticisms. I'd love it if you could share and expand on that and how you overcame them. You know, I know that there's skepticisms of other coaches out there, or maybe it was the fear of the investment, but I'd love it if you could share your thoughts and your process on how you overcame that.
So I would say my initial fear, concern was around just, okay, when would I make my return on investment? Does this make sense for me to lean into and pay for right now? I have other expenses. You know, where am I putting my cash? And does it make sense for me to put my cash there? And when will I recoup it? So, those were, and I would say I was releasing myself from, more from a fear-based mindset and really looking at, all right, this is an investment in myself. This is what it's going to take to expand the business. So let go of those fears and just like lean into it, and the resources will come. Like, I got what it takes. I know what it takes. Let me bet on myself and do this.
So you bet on yourself, and I know a lot of other firm owners have the same fear. Am I going to get an ROI? I'd love it if you could share your wins and successes and celebrations that you've had in just the last 8 weeks.
I would say one of my wins was a nonprofit client out of state that said yes to my fees. And I was like, wow, okay. They said yes to my fees. So, I had already started kind of going up on my pricing. And so, that was like a big engagement that I landed for, accounting services, some cleanup, and, their annual 990. And they've been quite pleased with the work that we've been performing. So it's like trusting that I can actually take on these larger clients. That was one of my wins. And then,
Total revenue.
my clients are starting to pay faster.
Yeah,
So, I have less AR out there, less, chasing clients for money. And then I also have been able to like onboard additional assistants to support my growth and expansion.
awesome. And how much total revenue have you extra generated in the last 8 weeks? Your total gain, what would you say? Upwards of how many thousands of dollars?
Uh,
All of your price increases, the new client you landed at a higher price.
well, I was looking at my KPIs yesterday, and I know that my income this time, so I left corporate in December of 2024. And as of yesterday, so it was basically the end of October compared to December of 2024, my revenue increased 50%.
Wow, that's significant. And in dollars, what does that equate to?
So the my dollar revenue has increased about $35,000.
I love that. I'm so proud of you. Yes, and now you're not subsidizing your firm anymore. So,
Correct.
if you can go back, Janita, and tell your younger self about the 8 week sales mastery program and what you've learned and how you feel now, what would you share with her today?
Ask me that question again. I'm sorry.
If you were able to go talk to your younger self about the 8 week sales mastery course and what you've learned and how you feel now, what would you share with your younger self, Janita, just 2 months ago about what you've gotten out of being here as a firm owner?
Um, One, I would say lean in and trust the process. Um, it's a lot to absorb, but it's a mindset shift. And it's, understanding my value and trusting that I can do it. and I have a mastery at this. I've been doing this a long time, so you have what it takes. These are the types of things I would say to myself. And you totally got it, and you are successful, and you will continue to be successful.
Love that.
So, lean in, jump in the jump rope, and stop um waiting for things to be perfect, because that's just causing more delay.
Yeah. And do you have any other words of wisdom to another firm owner who's listening right now, who's really serious about taking their firm to that next level? Or maybe they're in a corporate job like you were, Janita, and they're really ready to quit, but they've got the side hustle firm, but it's not yet where they want it to be. What words of wisdom would you have for those firm owners today?
Um, there's no perfect time, and utilize your resources and community. If you're serious about doing it, make sure that you have, the right internal alignment to make that move and move. Trust your intuition.
Yeah, love that. Trust your intuition and, like you said, trust the process. Thank you so much, Janita, for taking out the time to share your experience of the 8-week sales mastery course and working with us here at the Abundant Accountant. Do you have any other things that you'd like to share that maybe I didn't ask, or something about us where we were unique and different than anything you've done in the past? Anything else you want to share before we wrap up?
Anything else I want to share before we wrap up? Um, the work is doable, and I would say if you follow the process, I have had instances where I've fallen behind in my assignments, but I am still in the game, right? So even though I fell behind, like, it's okay, and grant yourself grace, when you're dealing with, situations or circumstances, because we're not our situations or circumstances, and things happen. Just keep going, get back on the horse and keep riding.
Well, thank you, Janita, so much for sharing your experience with us and other firm owners that might be considering enrolling in our 8-week sales mastery course. It's been an honor to see your journey and keep it up.
Thank you.
See the beginning.